spring in North Wales, and welcome to Melyn Llyn, which is a reservoir in the countryside above Dolgarrog. This isn't my objective for the day, so I've parked down in the valley and I've walked up to the lakes. It's taken me about an hour to get here, but my objective, if the sun allows, is up there. So I'm going to try and get up on the ridge for views. And just to position where I am, in the video I did at Ffynnon Llwgwi, that was over the other side of there, so I'm over in the other valley, but hopefully I'll show you when I'm on the ridge and look in that direction. But first thing I wanted to say was thank you. I normally say thank you at the end of the video, but thanks for watching, and thanks to all the new subscribers. So even as I've been walking up, my phone pinged a couple of times to say new subscribers, so kind of welcome to my channel and thanks very much for watching. And just to explain what I'm trying to do, trying to get up on that peak, and there's a reservoir here and then there's a reservoir just over the side of the peak. So ideally up there somewhere, looking back down this way with the sun behind me, but we'll see. It's going to be quite it's relatively flat walking up. There's a few steep bits, but this is going to be a bit of a test. So had a quick drink, got my walking poles out, and I'm ready to head off up the hill. So I'll see you when I'm at the top. It'll take a second for you, but it'll probably take me another hour. So I might be a bit red-cheeked and out of breath when we get up there. So I'll see you in a second. Well, I made it to the top and it was hard work. Took me about an hour. The path's not very well defined, so there's a path between the two reservoirs. It comes up the side of the ridge. It's not very well defined, so I lost the path a couple of times. It's very boggy. And it's one of those, so the reservoirs are behind over there, and the reason I've come over here, because I need to drop down a little bit to get an image of where the reservoirs are. So before I did that, I thought I'd come and explore. So in my video from Ffynnon Llwgwi, you can probably see in the mountains where that dip is, and then it dips up. I was in the middle of that dip when I was photographing Crag Usva. So I was in that dip, so looking down that valley at one point and then photographing up that way to Canon EF. But I thought I'd come over, and it's an amazing view. It's a bit misty today, but you can see kind of right across kind of North Wales. In fact, you can even see out, I can see the wind farms out in the North Sea, or Liverpool Bay. So it's a bit misty, but I can still see a long way. And I wanted to come and try and capture this. The problem I'm really having is there's absolutely nothing of interest in the foreground. So the top of I think this is called Volgach, and it's quite a flat plateau. It's very wet, very tussocky grass. I'm sure it's a wonderful habitat for wildlife, but it's photographically it's quite boring. So trying to get a composition with those kind of peaks in the distance, it's really difficult because I can't find anything. I've wandered back and forward all over the plateau looking for something, you know, maybe a pond or some interesting rocks, and I really can't find anything, and it's really annoying me because if I could find something interesting, it'd make a really nice composition. But the problem would be if I took an image now, I set up and looked. The bottom third is just kind of fairly dead looking grass, so it's annoying me, but there's nothing I can do about it. So I've spotted some kind of ponds down there, but then I think that's too low, so I'm a bit frustrated. But I think what I'll have to do is drop down that ridge and look back down towards the reservoirs if I'm going to capture anything. I shouldn't be too disappointed because it's an amazing view, but I can't get anything composition wise. So struggling a bit, but we'll soldier on. I think I might be getting somewhere. So I came down off the plateau. So sorry, pointing you in the sun, so I'll try and use my shadow, but plateau is just up there. And I filmed a piece earlier down on the edge of the reservoir, so I came up and across that peak, so I can hear voices. I hope there are voices and kind of not me hearing things. So where I think I'm finally getting somewhere is the view across the reservoir. Nice light falling on those kind of hills in the distance, and then a bit of snow in the foreground, so a bit of foreground interest. So snow's leading a line to the reservoir. The reservoir is really flat and calm, shining kind of silvery, and then kind of nice mountains and actually some nice clouds, so hopefully a nice composition. I'll turn the camera out, so I'll use my shadow so you can hopefully see what I'm doing. I'll lighten. I always go the wrong way, don't I? So hopefully you can see the snow in the foreground, the lake, and then the mountains. So I'm working on rule of thirds. The sky's a third, the snow's a third, and the lake takes up about a third. I'm underexposing a bit and bracketing, because dealing with the contrast between the snow and the shadow and the sky will be quite challenging for my camera. I've got a filter in, well actually I've got double filter in. I've got two filter ins just dropping the brightness of the sky out, but also I've got the brightness of the snow to contend with, so I'm bracketing, and in post-processing I'll be able to kind of make the most of that. So hopefully, I think it's quite a nice composition. I hope it's a nice competition, because that was a long walk up, and I came up that way around the valley. I'm going to go back down this way across the kind of the top of the ridge, but I also might just head over there to the top of the ridge and look that way. But we'll see. I'll work on this a bit, and then you'll see where I get to in a second or two. I think I might finally have got something I'm happy with today. Been one of those days. You get them, but it's worth persevering. So you can already see in the background, I'm sure, beautiful kind of late evening light. The sun is maybe 20 minutes from disappearing over the top of Canon EF. So I've arrived here, did a bit more wandering around on the plateau. And the reason I've come here is this foreground interest of these rocks, which allows me to have something in the foreground and something in the distance. And there's obviously that nice light. I think that's called Coombucken. But if you know the area well and I'm wrong, let me know and I'll let other people know. So what I'm trying to do is create an image that has kind of this bright rock in the foreground and mountain in the background. So I'll put live view on and let you see. Obviously, here's the rocks, here's the mountain, and it's a reasonably interesting sky. It's not, you know, dramatic or anything, but it's blue, but with those wisps of cloud in, so it kind of comes out quite nice. I've absolutely got to bracket my shots here, because you know, you can, I don't know, the GoPro is usually quite good at these things, but the brightness of the sun shining on those rocks and then the depth of the shadows there is too much for a single exposure. So I'm bracketing, but I think it's quite nice. There's this kind of flow that way. Sorry, I'm pointing the camera in the right direction. There's that flow that way of the rocks coming down the side of the mountain, obviously, and then it kind of sweeps up. So it's quite nice. The bottom of the valley, I think, lends the eye to sweep down the rocks and then sweep up the other side. I might be talking complete and utter rubbish, but that's what I'm going to stick to anyway. So I've got a filter in. Well, actually, I've got two filters in, but one I'm using to darken the rocks and one I'm using to darken the sky. So it's a bit of a combination of filters. So going to try a little bit more. I'm trying not to blind you in the sun, but I just want to show you kind of the sun's not far off from being down over the mountain range. So not got much time before that is completely in shadow. So try a few more, and then I've got to find my way down. There is a path. I can just about see the path down there, but there is a path. I came up that way, but I'm going back down that way, and I can just about see the path. So I don't want to try it in the dark. So a couple more images and then we'll see how it goes. Well, as you can tell, I made it down nice and safe. Another one, a bit like the path on the way up, was a bit hard to find and a bit hard to stick to. The path on the way down was quite hard to find, I think predominantly because it's been quite a little bit of snow. The grass was all flattened down, so it was hard to pick out the path up from kind of snow melt. So, but it was okay, it was a bit wet. Oh, this path turned out to be a bit, sorry, bear with me, it's a bit rockier than I anticipated before I started recording. So I'm walking back out of the valley, and I think there's a last bit of light on the mountain peak there, which is pretty special. But I overall a little bit disappointed with the day. So, gosh, there's a clear bit up here where probably making you feel a bit car sick, doesn't it? So overall a little bit disappointed with the day from a photography perspective. When I was up on the plateau, difficult to find anything of foreground interest. Shooting over the reservoir was a bit challenging because of the lighting conditions. And then shooting over this way was probably the best of the bunch, but have to wait and see. But enjoyed the day because I enjoyed the walk. And it brought back good memories. So I used to come up here a lot. So I'm just above Dolgarrog. I think I mentioned that at the beginning of the video. Used to come up a lot as a family in the summer holidays. And that walk up to the reservoir, I remember walking up there with my dad and a couple of my brothers and sisters. I'm from a big family. A couple of my brothers and sisters in maybe 1970s. So I was probably 8 or 9, which would make my dad at the time the age I am now. So he's 87 this year. But it was nice walking up and thinking back about those things. So I go out to photograph. That's what I do. But it's nice when you get the added benefit of a good walk, and it brings back some good memories. So, and some wild ponies. Seen quite a lot of those today. They are wild. They're just allowed to kind of roam all over the mountainside. So truly wild ponies. So hope they don't come and try and grab some of my picnic. Gosh, more wetness. So anyway, I'll stop rambling on and I'll say thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the day. From a photography perspective, not great, but hopefully from a kind of out and about perspective, pretty good and enjoyable. Thanks for watching. I mentioned at the beginning the new subscribers, so if you're a new subscriber, thanks for coming back. If you're a long time subscriber, really appreciate your support, and be great. Love it when people comment. Really enjoy kind of having the interaction of the comments. So do leave a comment below, and any questions or just general observations. I'll always answer comments. So put something in and we'll have a chat. And I'll see you next time. Cheers.